Hello, Dr. Kennedy here, Comparative Reasoning, and this was requested on Discord. And you know what? Jumping right into it is, this guy, Nicholas Rosk, he decided that he was going to attempt to kill Supreme Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh. And he had thoughts of suicide, and he was on medication. They questioned him, a whole lot of stuff, but hey, they got him alive, and he's he's going to be charged with one. What does it say here? This is reported by the New York Post, and I'm going to read, I guess, a couple of lines here or there, but I got stuff to talk about. There's quite a few angles, and it's going to be sensitive, and it's going to be difficult, but I'm going to try. The suspect was charged with one count of attempting to murder or kidnap a U.S. judge. So he could get up to 20 years in prison. Okay. He wasn't going to kidnap. That wasn't going to happen. I mean, he was armed. He was ready. But if he was going to carry on through it, if he really wanted to do it, he wouldn't have called cops and said that he was suicidal and things like that. He's got a gun in his suitcase, and where he's going, he would, when someone wants to do something, the last thing they need to do, tell anybody how to stop them. Not unless they don't want to do it and they know they're not going to be in control of themselves. So maybe that was him stopping himself. Honestly, he needs help. He needs psychological help. He's got medication that he wasn't going to say what it was and whatnot. So we don't know if it wasn't working, if he was completely off of it or just getting off of it. But basically, he told on himself. And he wasn't going to, it's not attempted murder when you do everything to make sure that you don't murder. It's more like attempted saving. But why? Why did he choose Brett Kavanaugh? Because by his own testimony, that it was the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the leaked document. He didn't want that overturned. And he also believed that Brett Kavanaugh and some others would certainly go easy on loosening gun laws. Just say, hey, you know what? Not going to fight you. Go ahead. Be nice. We don't need strict gun laws. Do what you want. So I'm thinking, if I were a judge and I wasn't privileged, I didn't feel high and mighty because of my pay or my position in government, I didn't feel untouchable, and somebody wanted to kill me, I'd ask, why did you want to kill me? What have I done to you? And then if they say, your legislation is going to get a lot of people killed, and you don't confer or anything with anyone around you, that gives me pause. And I would really, let me think about this. And I have to wonder, how am I killing people? How am I going to harm people? And I have to look back at what I'm trying to pass through and think, okay, wow, yeah, this would hurt people. I can understand. And for me, my mindset would be, obviously, he's trying to take out one person to save millions. That's what he's trying to do. That should speak volumes. I'm not trying to cite Nicholas Rosk as a hero. I'm not trying to say he's the good guy. I'm not saying he's the bad guy. But he's a guy, and it seems that a little bit of what he was doing was a little bit detached. Like, well, as he said, he wanted to give himself purpose, his life purpose. So he chose that. In other words, it didn't have to really be Kavanaugh. It didn't have to be the Supreme Court. It could have been just at random anybody. Just so happened Brett Kavanaugh, this whole Roe versus Wade, the lax gun laws that are out there, and these Supreme Court judges not doing what they can to tighten them up. It's just like, hey, you know, better best guy right now. And I don't blame or fault Nicholas Ross if he's trying to cut the head off the snake to kill the rest of the body from harming anything. I get it. I don't think he went about it the right way. I don't think he should have tried to have a gun or anything like that. There's so many ways to handle it. But it's funny, and maybe New York Post don't understand the comedy of it, or maybe I'm the only one seeing it. But I often say protesting is a waste of time because you're just gonna go home exhausted, you know, out of breath, and have gained nothing. You've gained nothing. And I've said in many posts before, and quite a few times already, that people that are big wigs, people who are big time, and they see a protest going, it's like, we don't like what you're doing, and we're gonna make this chant and this rhyme. And me up there on Mount Olympus, and I have that privilege, and I feel unchallengeable and all that, like nothing can be done to me. I'm gonna look down at them and think, well, look at these people walking around wasting their time. Hey, close the door, I don't want to hear that. And I'm going back to what I'm doing. They're gonna be down there wasting their time. So he had a more direct action. You know, for those people that raided the Capitol, I'd like to say this guy would be on your team, but honestly, his goal would have actually helped save lives, as messed up as that sounds. Because the Roe versus Wade, turning that over, and the way that these red states are implementing their rules, they don't care if the woman, if it was rape, they don't care if it was incest, whether known or unknown. They certainly don't care if and please forgive, I don't know the term, so I'm going to be long on this one. If there's the child is stuck in the fallopian tube, if those cells are stuck there and they're going to start replicating and dividing and all this, she's going to die. The mother's going to die. If something bad happens in the womb and the mother and child are at risk and the child must be aborted to save the mother, I mean, they don't care for that. They say, well, you got to die. Yes, you and the child will die, but you got to go because we want this child born, although the child would die with the mother. That's some severe cognitive dissonance. Stuck in the fallopian tube, you'll die. It won't get past, a centimeter before you are in danger. Yeah, you're gonna die, but you can't save yourself. You can't go to the doctor. You can't do any of that. And for anyone out there that's trying to get an abortion, we're gonna make sure that we pass laws so you can't leave the state and get one. That sounds so much like fascism. It sounds like, I don't know, prison. It sounds like a kidnapping. It sounds like murder. That's what it sounds like. That thing that Nicholas Ross is being charged with murder and kidnapping. Well, murder or kidnapping. They can't figure out which. But wow, the rules that would go into effect if they overturn Roe versus Wade, that would legitimately be millions of murders waiting to happen. That's what that would be. And let's say the women that do have to, they get desperate. There are old school ways to get an abortion. And women suffer for that. Some will always miscarry. Some just can't get pregnant ever again, no matter what. Some hemorrhage and die. Some get infections and die, or infections and can't reproduce. There's multitudes of these old school abortion tactics. Overturning Roe versus Wade is going to create death among death. And this is also, my add, the country, 70 to 74% of the country says don't overturn it. Some of them cheered to overturn it until they realized, wow, it's going to happen. Then they thought about it, thought about their daughter. They thought about their son got some female pregnant and she didn't want it, and they didn't want to put this female in the family because of whatever reasons. You know, they thought about that and they said, wait a minute, maybe we did the wrong thing. You know, maybe we want to keep this rule in play. You know, don't overturn it. We were just playing. So I'm gonna scroll down here because I want y'all to hear this. Okay, this is Attorney General Merrick Garland, and he said, "This kind of behavior is obviously behavior we will not tolerate. Threats of violence and actual violence against the justices, of course, strike at the heart of our democracy, and we will do everything we can to prevent them and to hold people who do them accountable." So, attacking one of them strikes at the heart of democracy. Really? Really? See, democracy is when things are ran by the majority. You see, not the few. This is why even the Supreme Court justice, the legislative, judicial, executive, all three branches are still considered public service. Okay, they are government public servants. They are supposed to, and they say it a lot, do the will of the people, right? That's a democracy, when the people in mass say we want this. So if, as crazy as it is, 51% of the people say we want this, then the government has to go into whole hoopla of, we got to appease them, but at the same time, is it constitutional? Is it lawful? Will it increase harm rates in the country? Will violence go up? Will deaths go up? What will happen? They got to go through this. They want to give the people what they want, but they also got to do it safely. That's why we have regulations to do things safely. And yes, regulations and whatnot can be weaponized, and they have been. So, looking up the definition of democracy, okay, the practice or principles of social equality. The practice or principles of social equality. This means that this kid, one guy who wants to, hey, I'm a 26-year-old college graduate. I chose to do this with my life, give my life meaning, and I'm going to take you out. And they say, wow, you know what? That's against one of us. So, you finna go to prison. You're likely to get the death penalty. And so equality, wouldn't that mean if what you want to do is going to cause millions to die with you, 5 to 7 people up there, you're going to make rules that's going to cause millions to die? Equality, shouldn't y'all be going to prison too? I'm just being fair. I like equality. Another definition: control of an organization or group by the majority of its members. As I already went over that, 51%. See, it's not that 73% of the country wants to keep Roe versus Wade. It's not that. No, it ain't. It's not those, 195 million people. No. Oh no. It's the 4 people on the Supreme Court that matters, not all the millions, hundreds of millions of us. See, that's the problem. You see, how much of a democracy do we have if our mass majority needs are ignored by 4 people? Just saying. I don't like this second definition, what a democracy is. A state governed under a system of democracy. You don't use the word to define the word. I mean, I get the word ninja going on, but it's not. But a state governed under democracy. Yeah. Too bad we don't have that. Because if we did, marijuana would be legal wholeheartedly by now. It would have been legal in the 60s, just to be honest with you. You had a whole mass group of people, and I mean, by and large, it's cool. I don't mind and I don't care. And then you got the conservatives, that small little group of people that's like, hey, they say it's bad, they say it's evil. Despite my knowledge of it and despite what I've seen, I have to go with the law. That's what they did. Especially if you can stick it to some minorities. The first definition, because I went backwards, a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. Well, shouldn't they represent? They should, but they're not. So you got to ask, who are they representing? Who? Because if you legalize weed, then that means all the drug manufacturers and stuff, they're going to start losing business because a lot of ailments can be managed, if not outright cured, through just smoking, vaping, or whatnot, some marijuana. So if you can have the public just open up dispensaries and whatnot, and then grow certain types and whatnot, and say, look, this type is good for this is good for that. Oh wait, they do have that, and they make a few billion a year. These dispensaries for the state. And drug companies' profits dropped. People ain't talking about that. That when these dispensaries opened up and the drug, alleged cartels in the United States, allegedly Bear and all them, they lost money. So they price gouged. So since there's so many people getting off those headache medications because now they got cheaper stuff that's going to last them longer and do better, they got to pass the buck on to those that will never do it. So EpiPens go up, all kinds of, basically aspirin, acetaminophenes, and things like that go up in price. And while so many people do not want to see their loved ones in harm's way, this government don't listen. And they're serving the minority. Because in truth, there's only one true minority in this country. And it's not race. It's the wealthy. The rich people, they're going to support the wealthy because the wealthy pay the rich. They'll only be good enough to be rich. And without the wealthy dumping that money onto them, they don't want to be us. That's the truth. They don't want to be us. So what's like George Carlin said, the lower class is there to scare the shit out the middle class. But I take knowledge that the middle class strive hard to be like the rich, and the rich want to be the wealthy. And no class has a true idea of the other class. They just know what the other got. There's jealousy, there's envy, there are misunderstandings, and there are detachments. For every class, everyone's got their own strife. So when someone does complain about something and it's an honest, genuine complaint, and not something made up just for argument's sake, take it serious. Take it serious. Comparative woes don't help. Like you complain about this, but what I got? It don't help. Not the way you think. It should be eye-opening, but it shouldn't be used to control. I think that's best to say. So I've given my time and stuff. I just really want to talk about this and everything else that it bleed into. I hope that I did well. I hope I explained myself well. It's touchy, it's difficult, but I did what I could. So with that, I'm trying not to talk about something here, so sorry about that. But with that, it's been Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.